The next item of business is a statement by Jean Freeman on the Scottish Government response to its social security consultation. The Minister will take questions at the end of her statement, and so there should be no interventions or interruptions. I call on Jean Freeman. Minister, 10 minutes, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Today marks the next important step in this Government's work to build a new social security system in partnership with the people of Scotland. Today we've published a comprehensive, independent analysis of the responses to the recent consultation on social security in Scotland, together with an initial response from the Scottish Government. I want to put on record my thanks to all of the people and organisations who have contributed directly to the consultation and to the many more who participated in engagement events across Scotland. Throughout the consultation and since, I have listened to those with direct personal experience of the current benefit system. I've heard their experiences of the impact it has had on them and their families, and I've learnt a great deal. So let me assure this Parliament that I will continue to listen and to learn from those currently using the benefit system and those working with them who provide such vital support and help. What has emerged is a rich seam of evidence, a solid foundation on which we can continue to build as we take each step of this new public service for our country. What is also clear is the widespread support for our intention to build a fairer and more dignified social security system, one based on the understanding that social security is an investment we make in ourselves and in each other. From the outset, we've said that we will build our social security system in partnership with the people of Scotland, in a fair and more inclusive way. Today, I will set out the specific ways through which we will achieve that. Presiding Officer, the right to social security is established in Article 9 of the UN International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. That is our starting point. Social security is a human right. The consultation responses backed our commitment to a rights-based approach, a cornerstone of our vision for the new system, and one on which our core principles of fairness, dignity and respect will be grounded. I'm pleased to announce that the forthcoming Social Security Bill will honour this great Scottish tradition by enshrining these core principles in the new system's founding legislative framework, a clear statement of intent that we will embed a rights-based approach with dignity and respect into the Scottish system from the very outset. Putting this on the face of the bill will also provide a legislative mechanism for the people who interact with the new service to know exactly what they should expect, from application to advice to assessments to any necessary appeals. Presiding Officer, we are committed to ensuring that this government and all future governments are held to account to deliver for the people of Scotland. We will introduce the bill to Parliament before the end of June, starting the process of parliamentary scrutiny that will support us to shape, improve and pass the legislation we need to set up our new social security system. That legislative framework, both the bill and the secondary legislation that will flow from it, are the necessary foundations underpinning our new system. I'm sure that this Parliament will want to ensure that we get it right and will take the time it feels necessary for scrutiny, evidence-taking and reporting. Respondents also overwhelmingly endorsed the concept of a publicly accessible charter to communicate clearly with what the public is entitled to expect from the Scottish system and to frame the culture and positive ethos of the new Social Security Agency. Which is why I can announce today that the requirement to prepare a charter will also be in the bill, introducing a legislative requirement that reflects the core principles I've outlined and places a series of statutory duties on ministers to periodically review and report on the delivery of our aim of creating a fairer, more inclusive system. In this way, we will guarantee that the Charter goes much further than warm words. This will be a central part of the new system, effectively creating a binding contract between the system and the ministers responsible for it and the people who use it. The Charter will be continually refined as we learn and grow creating an additional device for both the Parliament and the public to scrutinise and hold ministers to account for the delivery of a fairer, more inclusive and rights-based system. Presiding Officer, the scrutiny of this Parliament is a vital component of our democracy, and I believe our intention to secure a rights-based approach through legislation and in the practical embodiment of the Charter are vitally important. Scotland's social security system will sit within the overarching social protections this Parliament is responsible for. But learning the lessons from elsewhere, I also believe it is important to ensure there is independent scrutiny as we deliver a social security system for Scotland. So I can confirm that we will enlist the support of objective experts to advise us on the most appropriate arrangement for the independent scrutiny of our new system's overall performance. Presiding Officer, I intend to further embed a rights-based approach by making good on our commitment that the people of Scotland will be our full design, development and delivery partners. To that end, in the coming weeks, I will make a detailed announcement on the launch of experience panels, an ambitious programme that will see us work in formal partnership with at least 2,000 individuals who have direct experience of the current system to design, build and refine a new and better model. These panels will build on the consultation using this rich body of evidence while continuing and deepening that engagement. Learning from what people have told us about how they want to be involved in helping to build a new and better system, the panels will be involved throughout the design of the new service. I hope that the whole Chamber shares my enthusiasm for this progressive and innovative way of working, and that all members will look for ways to support it in both principle and in action. The theme of collaboration with experts and the public will be a common thread running through our entire programme of work, as it has been from the outset. And an expert advisory group on disability and carers' benefits will provide ministers with independent expert guidance in this crucial policy area. So I'm delighted to announce today that this group will be chaired by Dr. Jim McCormick, a current Associate Director of the Joseph Rowntree Foundation. I'm sure that everyone in the Chamber will agree that Dr. McCormick's credentials for the role are impeccable, combining exceptional policy expertise with a genuine passion for fairness and equality. I'm pleased that we will be able to reap the benefits of both his advice and guidance and the expertise and experience that the group as a whole will bring to us. Presiding Officer, the consultation responses and the experience panels will also play a key role in shaping the nature and structure of the new Social Security Agency. We are paying close attention to the findings that face-to-face contact between those in receipt of benefits and agency employees is of key importance, and that medical assessments are best done by professionals who understand the conditions of the people they are assessing. These examples demonstrate how both collaboration and our core principles will meaningfully influence the delivery of services on the ground. And I expect to announce later in the spring a preferred model that will be closely aligned to the views of the people of Scotland. It is also apparent from the consultation that advice and advocacy services will be crucial, with many respondents sensibly predicting an upsurge in demand as we transition to the new system. Many also highlighted the importance of specialist advice for people with particular needs and the necessity for equal access to advice and support. I know from the consultation that advice services will play an important role in ensuring that our social security system delivers on its founding principles. That is why we will therefore build on these findings and our wider review of advice services to work directly with our experience panels to develop the high-quality support that will be necessary. In conclusion, Presiding Officer, I will close by emphasising that whilst we will do things in a different way, it is crucial that we must also do it in a careful way. Our number one priority remains the safe and secure transition of 11 benefits for the 1.4 million people who rely on them. These 11 benefits are currently worth just over £2.7 billion. equivalent to the cost of building 2 new fourth replacement crossings every single year. The scale is such that we must design from scratch new technology that will process each week roughly the same number of payments that the Scottish Government currently makes in an entire year. And we must make sure that our system works alongside the UK system so that no individual in Scotland either falls through a gap between them or suffers because of the interaction of the two parallel systems. So while our ambitions are high, so too are the stakes. Members will be aware that both the Scottish and UK governments have stated their clear, shared commitment to working together to deliver implementation of these new powers. But it is also true that we and the UK government come to this exercise with different ideological and political perspectives, and it was always realistic to expect that there would be times when we would disagree. Our starting point is the Smith Agreement, backed as it is by the Fiscal Framework and the Enduring Settlement. Each is clear that any additional income provided to a person as a result of our exercise of these new powers must not be offset by a reduction elsewhere in the UK benefit system. We have two current areas of difficulty. We have committed to abolishing the bedroom tax at source, using our new powers over the housing element of universal credit. For some individuals, that may take their benefit level over the UK-imposed benefit cap. We are clear that in such a circumstance, the individual should not be penalised, and our straightforward, person-centred solution is for the benefit cap calculation not to include that element. So far, we've not been able to secure the UK Government's agreement that this is how we will proceed. And while the UK Government intends to remove housing benefit from 18 to 21-year-olds, we have committed to retaining it. We believe that there is a technical way by which both governments can pursue their opposing commitments, but so far the UK Government has not agreed. Both these areas matter, not only to us as a government seeking to honour the commitments we've made, but more importantly, to the very many individuals who stand to gain or lose. So we will continue to pursue these issues with the UK Government so that we can exercise our new powers to build that fairer, transparent and person-centred system. There can be little doubt, Presiding Officer, that the system we aspire to can make an important difference to people's lives. But it is only through listening to people who have experienced a benefit system, working with experts in the field, and ensuring we have both a legislative framework and a robust infrastructure in place that we can ensure that the new social security system we are building will embody the modern, inclusive and progressive Scotland we all wish to see. I am sure that the Parliament supports that important aim. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. The Minister will now take questions on the issues raised in her statement. I tried to get all members in and allow 20 minutes for questions, after which we'll move on to the next item of business. So if you wish to ask a question, press your request to speak buttons. Now please call Adam Tompkins, to be followed by Mark Griffin. Mr Tompkins.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I welcome the Minister's statement and I thank her for early sight of it. I welcome the broad framework she's outlined in her statement, and in particular I welcome the use of a charter to communicate to the public clearly what they are entitled to expect from our social security system. And I welcome what the Minister had to say about independent scrutiny and experience panels. The appointment of Dr Jim McCormick is very good news. He will bring a wealth of experience and understanding to his new role, and the Scottish Conservatives wish him and his colleagues every success in it. What is remarkable about the Minister's statement, however, is what is not in it. Nothing about the design of disability benefits, nothing about when carers' allowance will be raised to the level of JSA, something that the Scottish Conservatives called for in our manifesto last year, nothing at all about use of the top-up power, nothing about substance at all. So if the Minister wanted to give the impression that she is proceeding as slowly as possible, she has certainly succeeded. Let me put these two specific questions to her today. She talked about a rights-based approach, and she mentioned that social security is a human right. Well, so is the right to effective judicial protection. That's also a human right. Will the rights-based approach that she advocates include the right of claimants to take legal action in the Scottish courts, where they consider that their right to be treated with dignity, fairness and respect has not been honoured? Are these to be real rights with sharp judicial teeth, or are they merely paper rights? And secondly, the Minister said nothing in her statement about localised delivery of social security in Scotland. So could she clarify how exactly she sees local authorities playing a role in the delivery of social security here? Or is the new agency to be yet another example of top-down SNP centralisation? In our manifesto, we noted that the integration
could I just get you to
of health
stop there? Sorry, I want to get members in. You've asked your 2 questions. Minister, please.
Thank you very much. And I thank Mr Tompkins for his positive comments, and I'm yet again disappointed by the negative ones, because really he does know much better than this. If we are serious, and I most definitely am, about building and designing this system from the ground up, that is the point of 2,000 volunteers and experience panels. That is the point, Mr Tompkins, of an expert advisory committee. That is the point of Dr McCormick chairing that committee, to use their information, the evidence from the consultation, to precisely design the disabilities benefits, to deal with the substance of carers allowance and its criteria and many other matters. Now, I'm serious about that. It's disappointing they're not. In the terms of your 2 specific questions, this government has a manifesto commitment on which we were elected to take forward work to make human rights real. And we will be doing that across government, including in this portfolio. And in terms of the involvement in local authorities, it is again disappointing you didn't hear me say that we would announce shortly our model for the Social Security Agency. And it is disappointing again that you did not hear me say that we will use the evidence from the consultation to guide us and the experience panels and all the others I've talked about to design and accept the best possible model. This is not a centralising government. Many of the legislation, it is not. You may mock, but it is this government that brought the Community Empowerment Act into being, not that government over there, and not your government in Westminster either. So don't laugh and don't mock, just pay attention and open your ears and hear what I'm saying. So this will not be a centralising government. We're not one now and we won't be. And we will work with local authorities and with others in the community to make sure that our system is so much better than the one that we inherit from the UK government.
Mr Griffin, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I'd like to thank the Minister for advance notice of the statement and, crucially, the organisations who have contributed to the consultation. But I think it's disappointing, though, that on the day those organisations have said that they are fighting for survival, having contributed so much, there is nothing the Minister has said today to advance their understanding of how the devolved benefits will support the most vulnerable in our society. The Minister mentions 2 areas of difficulty with commitments the Government have made, and I note that these do not cover issues around topping up carers allowance or split payments. Can the Minister say when carers can expect to receive the top-up to carers allowance worth £600 a year, and when the Government planned to consult on regulations to introduce flexibility and universal credit for payments to be made to mothers to avoid the potential situation where they are financially dependent on an abusive partner? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Griffin. Minister.
Thank you very much. And I think Mr Griffin is conflating 2 issues here. I think he's conflating the issues that are being raised at the Gathering, a major event for our third sector partners, and what is in my statement and in our consultation response. In terms of the organisations there at the Gathering whose partnership and whose work we value greatly, I would remind Mr Griffin that we have protected the equalities budget, we have introduced 3-year funding, and we can continue to support those organisations and value the contribution they have made to our consultation and indeed will make to the development of the social security system in Scotland, because they too will be directly involved in the experience panels, in the expert groups and in the other groups that our consultation response refers to. On the 2 specific issues, he knows, as I do, our absolute commitment to introducing that increase in carers allowance. It was in our manifesto, and to do so as quickly as we possibly can. He also knows that we are discussing the implementation of that with the DWP and are looking at a range of options as to how we might do it as soon as possible. And I hope he is assured that we will advise the Social Security Committee and this Parliament as quickly as we can, and that he will take my word that we are aiming to do that as quickly as legislation and other technical matters allow us to do so. It does not help Presiding officer, it does not help, aside from the voices from the wings here, it does not help to constantly raise this issue in a manner that is designed to upset and diminish the confidence of carers across Scotland in a way that is unnecessary and in a way that Mr Griffin and his Labour Party colleagues should know much better than that. It is a shameful act of which they should be ashamed of themselves.
Right. Now, I have 11 members as backbenchers wanting to ask questions. I'm going to say this more in hope than expectation. Brief questions. Minister, brief answers, please, so all members who take the trouble to put their name down are called. Sandra White, to be followed by Annie Wells.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. Can I thank the Minister for his statement, in particular the fact of social security is a human right and basically is based on Article 9 of the UN International Convention. So it's not something we've made up. Minister, basically you spoke about engagement, and I know that...
Sorry, Ms White, I want you to set an example. A question, please.
Well, I have to set an example by just the part about the consultation. Presiding Officer, the consultation was a 3-month consultation. What I want to ask the Minister is the fact that it was a consultation with ordinary citizens and key organisations, and basically I want to ask, can the Minister give an indication of how the Government will continue to work with these ordinary people who are out on benefits and also the key organisations to deliver what we hope to be a very, very good social security commitment here in the Scottish Parliament?
Sorry you got the rough edge there, but I want us to proceed quickly. Minister.
Bearing in mind what you said, Presiding Officer, there are 3 specific ways to answer Ms White's question. Our experienced panels, in terms of those 2,000 volunteers, these are individuals with direct personal experience of the benefit system, specifically the 11 benefits that we will be responsible for. The advisory organisations and groups that I have mentioned, not least the expert advisory group, but we have a carers group, we have one on funeral benefits and on many other matters, and that involves directly those organisations representing those individuals. And lastly, my own personal meetings, what I've committed to another round of those meetings, as I did in the consultation, with as many individuals as possible, as well as the organisations that will facilitate those.
Thank you very much, Minister. Annie Wells, to be followed by Ruth Maguire.
Thank you. Listening to the Minister's statement, there's not much that I would disagree with regards to creating a social security system based on fairness and inclusivity. However, when it came to the detail on new social welfare powers, namely PIP and DLA, it's fair to say the statement was fairly unsubstantial.
No, I want a question. I just want a question.
Can the Minister give any indication of when we will hear more about these benefits and what they will potentially look like?
Minister?
Well, I think I've already answered Mr Thompson's question, but I'll do it again and say that the nature of the benefits, how we will design them and deliver them, will be worked through with those experienced panels and that expert group. I am happy and hope to be able to provide a little bit more of information in terms of how that will work when I appear at the Social Security Committee next week, and will continue to keep this Parliament up to date. Can I just emphasise, Presiding Officer, before I finish, that I am serious about designing this system with the people of Scotland. I do not intend to do it in a darkened room at speed in order to satisfy the political whims and opportunism of either of these 2 opposition parties.
Ruth Maguire, followed by Polly McNeill.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I'm sure all fair-minded members will welcome today's statement. Could the Minister...
Sorry, I can't hear the question. Yes.
Could the Minister set out of analysis of the responses to the Social Security consultation puts the Scottish Government in a position where it's able to consider progressing the other universal credit flexibilities in the future, namely use of individual payments?
We don't need examples, Minister.
Thank you very much. The specific additional flexibility that the member is referring to is, of course, the idea of split payments, the possibility of split household payments, which not only women's organisations and gender and others, but a number of other organisations representing disabled people have raised with us in the consultation. And we are actively considering the technical means by which we might do that in consultation with the DWP, because they too are looking at something comparable to it, to see how we might be able to offer that flexibility within the current arrangements that we have in terms of the reserved benefit that is universal credit.
Thank you very much. Polly McNeill, followed by Alison Johnson.
Presiding Officer, in relation to the 2 areas of difficulty outlined in the Minister's statement, can the Minister give us an insight exactly to what the difficulty is? Is it technical or is it political? Can you say why you have not been able to secure an agreement? The Minister will be aware that some claimants will be affected by this in this coming April 2017. Now, given the Minister has chosen to come to the Chamber and not to write to the committee with this, I think we're entitled to know how exactly can this technical difficulty be fixed, or is it a political disagreement?
Thank you. You made your point. Thank you. Minister.
Well, Presiding Officer, I've raised it today in the Chamber because we had a meeting of the Joint Ministerial Working Group on Welfare on Monday, and it seemed to me appropriate to raise these 2 areas of difficulty at the earliest possible opportunity. I will, of course, go into more detail with the committee next week. And it is the case, in terms of the housing benefit for 18 to 21-year-olds, the disagreement is in terms of the technical means by which 2 governments achieve their different objectives. We believe that there is a technical solution to that. The UK government does not currently agree with us. We are continuing to pursue that. In fact, today, officials from both governments are meeting to look at whether or not we can reach agreement on the technical solution, and if not, we have proffered an alternative solution to that problem, because we are determined that 18 to 21-year-olds in Scotland will retain their right to housing benefit. On the question of the benefit cap and the abolition of the bedroom tax, it is not clear to us exactly what the difficulty is that lies with the UK government. From our point of view, the Smith Commission, the Fiscal Framework and the Enduring Settlement were all crystal clear that when an individual received additional income as a consequence of us exercising our devolved powers, that additional income should not count in the calculation to then impose the UK government's determined benefit cap. And the simple, straightforward, person-centred way of dealing with that is to simply flag that individual's case inside the payment system. The UK government do not appear to believe that that is possible, but they have not yet explained to us why that is not possible. And so when we met on Monday, we asked very clearly, and have followed that up in writing, for that explanation to be clear so that we can then determine what we might do next, because the Chamber should be in no doubt that we are determined on 2 matters. We will abolish the bedroom tax at source, and we will ensure that not only the spirit but the letter of those agreements is honoured and upheld by the UK government.
Thank you, Minister. Alison Johnson, to be followed by Peter McGregor. Ms Johnson.
Thank you. Billions of pounds worth of benefits go unclaimed every year because the excessively complicated system is simply too difficult to understand in many cases. Does the Minister think that automatically considering an applicant for everything they might be eligible for once they approach the system for help would be a way of combating this? And how will the Minister guarantee that those who require advocacy will receive it, and indeed that they're even aware of the existence of this important service?
Minister.
Thank you.
I do agree with Ms Johnson that the way a system should work well is that for whatever reason an individual knocks on its door, that individual should be then counselled and advised on everything else that they may be entitled to. And we have some good smaller scale examples of that across the country, where some of our local authorities operate that practice. And it is my intention that that is how our Social Security Agency will work, which is why some of the matters that I have said that I believe are very important to put in the face of the bill are there also to create the culture and the ethos of how our agency would work. So I think the member is absolutely correct, and we will be considering that in some detail. On the question of advocacy, we have recently completed a review of Scottish Government-funded advice, support and services across the country as a necessary first step to identifying what we need to do in order to ensure there is a comprehensive advice, information and, where necessary, advocacy support service for individuals seeking to access their entitlement through our agency. And we will be taking that forward and reporting back to the committee and to the Chamber in due course as we begin to build that in place. Again, the importance of the experience panels and that experience of individuals, some of whom will have had advocacy services, others will not have been able to access those, will be important to us making sure we design that comprehensive system.
Right, I've got Fulton McGregor, then I'll call Dean Lockhart, then Alec Cole-Hamilton, and I think I'll just manage to squeeze these three in. I'm sorry, I can't reach the other three on the list. I've got Fulton McGregor, followed by Dean Lockhart, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the Minister how she will ensure that benefit claimants in Scotland with mental health issues will be fully supported. Minister.
I think there are two important points to make here. The first of those is in terms of how the Social Security agency and system is set up and worked, with that culture that I referred to. And the second is in terms of assessments, where those assessments are necessary, being conducted by individuals with the professional clinical expertise for the condition the individual suffers from that they are assessing. That will, I think, be a major step forward from the current experience of people in the UK system.
Thank you. Dean Lockhart, followed by Alec Cole-Hamilton.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. Our policy is to raise the carers allowance to the level of GSA to support over 60,000 carers in Scotland. We understand that the Scottish Government will follow our lead on this policy. Can the Minister therefore explain why this important change is not mentioned in a statement that is otherwise devoid of any substance?
I think the member will find it is mentioned in the consultation response that I referred him to, and that is published even as we speak, because this government has been elected on a manifesto to raise the carers allowance to the level of job seekers allowance. I've already covered exactly what we're doing about that and how quickly I am intending to pursue it in all the various options before, where at all possible, before our agency itself is up and running, and I will advise the committee of how we are proceeding with that in due course as soon as I have that answer.
Alec Cole-Hamilton.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I welcome the remarks from the Minister in response to Ruth Maguire about the splitting of payments to protect families where abusive relationships occur. Can I also ask the Minister what plans her government has to use its new powers to create a benefit that might help people with mental health problems get back into employment?
Minister.
Well, I'm sure Mr Cole-Hamilton will have read the Disability Delivery Plan, where we have made very clear in that the specific actions that we are taking in conjunction with Mr Hepburn and his role in terms of employability, the new employability programmes, to specifically assist individuals with a range of conditions to access employment, but also to access the Access to Work Fund, the UK fund, which is little used, to help them and employers secure employment. And I'm happy to discuss that with them further, but that is the route by which we are undertaking this work.
Thank you very much. I apologise to the three members who weren't called. Can I just, for the avoidance of doubt, let you know that I called 3 backbench from the government and 7 from the opposition, because I know it's disappointing to those who weren't called. But we have overrun. I'm now moving on to the next item of business.